The New York Jets are targeting a former star of their team with a massive position of need that they need to cover in free agency and the draft. This is absolutely perfect, with one Jets player already beginning the recruitment process while he himself is up for a contract extension. There is a lot to go over on the Jets right now. We're going to ignore my very messy hair and jump right into the video as always, guys. But real quick, if you are a part of that percentage that is not subscribed to Jets Digest, if you're part of that 72% that's not subscribed, make sure to go ahead and subscribe to Jets Digest so you don't miss out on a single New York Jets update. We're coming at you every single day with updates on the team that you don't want to miss out on. It is a very interesting time to be a Jets fan as the team is rebuilding and there will be a lot of moves upcoming this offseason. But guys, let's jump right into the video. There's a lot to go over. As mentioned, the Jets have a ton of moves that they have to make coming this offseason, and Darren Mougey is way ahead of things. The Jets have a lot of cap space to work with, and it's going to be an integral offseason for the team, trying to put together some star players with a mix of veteran talent and also young talent adding to the team while the Jets try to build things up the right way. With all that in mind, there definitely is a lot of different free agency targets, and one of them is a former member of the team who was very successful in a Jets uniform. If you don't recognize him here, you might recognize him a little bit more in a Jets jersey, because it's none other than JFM, John Franklin Myers, who had a very successful run with the New York Jets before ultimately leaving. He is on the Broncos now, where he has had some success as well, and it has not been long before already Jets fans want to see him back, with Harrison Glazer tweeting out that ESPN believes that John Franklin Myers is unlikely to get an extension from the Denver Broncos and could become a free agent, something we're about to dive into as well. And if that happens, do Jets fans want him back? Jermaine Johnson took no time to quote tweet this with the eyes, and John Franklin Myers took no time to respond, saying, "I love you, brother." So JFM very, very much entertaining the thought of a New York Jets return right here. Jets fans should absolutely love the idea of bringing back JFM, as their defensive line desperately needs upgrades. That was evidently clear against the New England Patriots when Drake May faced very little pressure, and it led to him just absolutely dotting the Jets up. On top of that, what we've seen thus far is that this team just doesn't have enough help on the defensive line, especially now with Quinnen Williams on the Dallas Cowboys. They really, really need to find a way to add some more talent to this team, specifically on the defensive line. And in regards to JFM's future, we saw this. John Franklin Myers lacks the lateral speed and blend to turn pressures into a bunch of sacks from edge alignments, but he's an active inside rusher who can play as a defensive tackle or 5 technique with his 6'4", 288-pound frame. Franklin Myers has 4.5 sacks on the season, as Matt Bowen mentioned, and Jeremy Fowler did say, having paid several key defensive players in the past year, the Broncos know they very well could lose Franklin Myers to free agency. Inside rushers, 3 to 4 defensive ends, or defensive tackles with pass rush ability get paid. And Franklin Myers has 11.5 sacks since joining Denver via trade from New York in 2024. So JFM, not really someone who's been away from the Jets for too long now, and it would make sense for the Jets to go out there and try to add more talent like JFM back to the team, adding another guy who can play the defensive tackle spot for the Jets, where right now they have Harrison Phillips as their best defensive tackle, somewhere where they desperately need to upgrade. So this would absolutely be huge. Now, when we look at everything, when we look at this, it does make sense for the Jets to go after JFM for sure. Just not that long ago in 2023, literally almost exactly 2 years ago today, the Jets' defensive line pressure rate among 200 defensive line with at least 200 snaps, Bryce Huff was first back when he was on the team. JFM was 6th. Quinnen Williams was 29th, 4th among defensive tackles, and also still being one of the best run stoppers in football. Meanwhile, Jermaine Johnson was 45th. The only guy still here is the guy who is ranked the lowest out of all these guys in Jermaine Johnson. Johnson, there is a whole lot to consider about his contract extension, something that we are about to go over. Obviously, fans would love the idea of having Bryce Huff back. Maybe it was lightning in a bottle or a different scheme, which now obviously is gone with there being new coaching and all that. But still, bringing back JFM, a guy who can rush on the inside and be a defensive tackle for the Jets, would be a huge upgrade for this team. The Jets have a lot of money to spend, and adding a guy who knows what it's like to play for the Jets and also will understand what the Jets are doing here, trying to rebuild this team, it makes sense. The Jets have an opportunity to give JFM a good offer and bring him back to the team in a move that fans would absolutely love. He still has his Jets jersey in his Pro Football Reference photo, where on the season in the 10 games that he's appeared in, he is 9 solo tackles and 4.5 sacks. He hasn't had the world's best year, but he still has been good enough where he's going to garner a lot of free agency interest. He will get a lot of playing time with the Jets as well, which will give him a whole lot to like. And also on top of that, when we look at how ESPN ranked him, they see him as the 13th best free agent and his age entering the 2026 season is 29. So this is the final year that he could really get a multi-year deal that's going to be worth a lot of money, or at least a good amount of money, and it'll likely be as a defensive tackle. The Jets should 100% look towards John Franklin Myers going forwards because of all the moves that it just makes total sense for the Jets to do to add more defensive line help on a guy who, again, has been here before and understands what the Jets are doing. Now, outside of that, there's also Jermaine Johnson to go over because Johnson does have that contract extension upcoming, and that's going to be a big deal. This season, he has 13 solo tackles with 2 sacks. And frankly, he has missed some time due to injuries as well. Jermaine Johnson's career, he looked really promising and still does have a lot of promise in his game. But with everything surrounding Johnson, the fact that the Jets have to decide if they're going to pick up that option on him, there is a lot to think about with him. Do the Jets ultimately decide to keep Johnson around for the long-term future, believing that he can bounce back to that guy that he once was before he tore his Achilles, or if the Jets are ultimately going to let Johnson walk and go forwards, trying to find new edge rushers? Both make sense for the Jets, but I wouldn't be shocked if they ultimately do decide to opt into Jermaine Johnson, keep him around for a little bit, because again, he is a solid defensive edge rusher. The Jets have Will McDonald. That doesn't mean they still can't they still can't upgrade their edge rushing. They could go out there in the draft and try to get a top-tier edge rusher, something I would not mind at all. This team needs more pressure on the quarterback. Now, JFM, not an edge rusher, but as a defensive tackle, would create some more pressures on the quarterback, which would be absolutely huge for the team. The Jets desperately need to be able to create more pressure on opposing quarterbacks. It's been one of the biggest issues for this team this season. So, keeping around Jermaine Johnson, adding on John Franklin Myers, and still trying to add more edge rushing help is not going to hurt anybody. It's going to be very helpful for the Jets to fix an area of need, and it won't be that expensive if it's just opting into Johnson and signing JFM and then drafting somebody. That leads to a great strategy while also hoping Will McDonald continues to develop into the player that we know he can be. So that's something that we really do have to look out for, and something I expect the Jets to look out for. Obviously, this is going to be a very important offseason. It's Darren Mougey's second offseason as the Jets GM. The moves that he's made thus far have been pretty hit or miss. I mean, obviously, the Andre Cisco thing didn't work out. He wasn't playing amazingly, got injured, is out for the season. Brandon Stephens has been a great signing. That worked out really, really well. There was a lot of doubt in him, but he's played excellent football recently, which has been huge. He's a great zone cornerback, not great on the man, but the Jets do run a zone defense, so it makes sense to have Stephens in there. Meanwhile, the team needs a bunch of defensive and offensive upgrades. With offense, more than anything, it is that quarterback position, but adding another skill position like another wide receiver would absolutely be huge, though John Mechie did show a nice game against the Patriots. Well, Justin Fields still has struggled to throw the ball at all, but at the end of the day, we are seeing some improvement there. I do want to see this Jets defense get a lot better based off Aaron Glenn being a defense-first head coach, but at the same time, they just need to start adding more talent. John Franklin Myers is a fan favorite, won't be too expensive, would add pressures. To me, adding on John Franklin Myers, bringing him home feels like an excellent move. What does it feel like to you? Let me know in those comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day. Go Jets. Happy Friday, guys. You made it to the weekend. Good stuff. It's exactly 5 p.m. We did it. It'll be like 5:10 when this comes out.